Hello everyone, my name is Max Kravchenko. I've compiled a series of lessons on animating the NASA logo from the Logo Animation project. In them, I will show you how to combine 3D and 2D animation techniques together with other interesting gimmicks that I've used to create this shot. We start with preparing and animating the UFO. We'll do this in Cinema 4D. Then, in the next lesson, we will talk about how to create the trail from the UFO and distortion effects for the galaxy. And in the third part, we'll create the disappearing effect and speed lines. Let's begin. Like I've said, we're going to create the UFO in this lesson. Since I created it in Cinema 4D, the process will be divided into several steps: modeling, animation, creating and adjusting materials, render and import. Why Cinema 4D and why in 3D? It's simple. To have a complete control over the UFO's shape and to quickly adjust the animation, creating fake 3D in After Effects for this kind of animation would be extremely long and difficult. In fact, combination of 2D and 3D is commonly used. And since Cinema 4D has a user-friendly interface, so it shouldn't be difficult to create a simple model even for those who haven't used the program before. Let's put the model together. I used oil tank to create the basis of the UFO. Using the cube and the Boolean operator, cut the upper part of the basis. Now, round up the corners of the bases by adding the bevel deformer to the oil tank object bevel. The lower part of the UFO is a sphere cut with the Boolean operator. The upper part is also a cut sphere. Duplicate the lower part and adjust it. With Cloner, make the UFO's legs and lights. Use a cone object to make a leg. Set this object to the solo mode to make it easier to adjust it. Set the right size of the cone object. Then create a cloner and add this object to it. Choose the radial mode to arrange the future copies in a radial pattern. Set the number of copies to 3 and adjust the distance between them. In my case, the value is 30. Go to the Transform tab and rotate the copies by 30 degrees. Arrange them. Create the lights in the same way. I will use oil tank to do that. Set the right size and add the object to the cloner. In the cloner settings, also set the mode to radial. Create 10 copies and space them 65 cm apart. Slightly tilt the objects on one axis to ensure that they stick to the basis of the UFO. There is still one more detail I will create using the tube primitive. It's this border. I'll rename the objects now and pack them all into a null object. Great, the model is complete. The next step is animation. Let's animate the UFO. In our case, it's easy to create the animation along a spline. It's quick to adjust, which is a big plus. Create a spline path using the Spline Pen tool. Apply the Align to Spline tag to the UFO object. Add the spline we've created to the tag. Drag and drop it to the spline path parameter. To animate the object, we need to adjust the position value in the Align to Spline tag. Create an animation. Create a keyframe on the first frame. The animation will end on frame 45, so set the position parameter to 100%. We need to slow the UFO down when it flies in front of the camera. Set 2 additional keyframes in the middle of the animation and space them out sort of like that. This way we slow down the object. Adjust the graphs to smoothen the animation when the object slows down and speeds up. Animate the rotation of the UFO so it flies more naturally. We've only got to animate the rotation of the lights. Select the cloner object and animate the offset parameter, considering that the UFO slows down when it gets closer to the camera. Great! Creating and adjusting materials. I'm using a standard material in the luminance mode. Create materials of the required colors. The only material that will be different from the others is the material for the upper part of the model. It needs to be slightly transparent, so check transparency. Set the refraction parameter to 1 to ensure that the material does not affect anything. And adjust the colors. Apply the materials to the UFO. For convenience, I turn off the grid and get out of the camera to see all the elements of the model. The camera is hidden in the layers. I'll turn it on in the Objects panel and then leave it. Drag and drop the materials to the object. We're all set. Let's now render on the alpha channel. Go to the render settings, go to the Save tab, set the desired location to save the file, set the format to PNG, and ensure that the alpha channel is enabled. In the Output tab, adjust the frame rate and the number of files you want to render. To ensure that everything is adequately rendered, the FPS in the project and the file imported to After Effects must be the same. To check the FPS in the project, press Ctrl D. Click the Render button. Open up After Effects now. Import the sequence by pressing the Ctrl-I hotkey. Select one frame and ensure that sequence is checked. Now check the FPS of the sequence. It was 30 instead of 24 in my case. So go to the Import settings and set 24 frames per second. Re-import the sequence. Everything is correct now. Drag and drop it to the timeline, trim it a bit, and it's done. Great! Now, because we've created the UFO in Cinema 4D, we have complete control over it, and we can move and rotate it as we like to achieve the desired result quickly. You can download this project at the link in the description. And that's it. In the next lesson, we'll be going to talk about how to create a trail of the UFO and the distortion effects of the galaxy. See you next time. Whoa, hold on, that's not all. If you want to learn more about logo animation, enroll in our super course on logo animation. In this course, we've compiled the most useful information to create cool animations and other cool things. It will be a perfect choice for both beginners and experienced motion designers. Visit the link in the description. Like and subscribe to the channel. See you again soon.